I say, normally if I see that, I turn around and go home. I'll phone with you.
I thought about it.
Okay. First up, anybody need to look at the minutes? Okay, we have motion on minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes from last week.
Okay, Julie moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Amy seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Any changes on the agenda? Okay, motion to accept the agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Okay, Doug moves to accept. Is there a second?
All second.
Amy seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay.
All right, first up, first item is a application for a zone change on behalf of the Horace Park District and the City of Horace for the property located right here in Cup Creek. So this is the new high school is being built. This is a pond lot. This lot was recently split like 2-3 weeks ago by the lot board. It's currently zoned agricultural. Under that zoning district, the setback requirements are pretty large. So front setback is 75 feet, rear and back are 50. The Park District wanted to change the zoning on this property from agricultural to PF public facilities for setback reasons for future park development proposals. And they wanted to be proactive and get the zoning changed before building permits were submitted in the future. Staff sent out property owner notification letters. Staff didn't receive any comment. Staff feels that this meets the intent of the Horace 2045 comp plan, and we recommend approval as stated in the staff report.
Okay, opening the public hearing for the zoning change on this lot. Is there anybody here for that? Okay, closing the public hearing. You heard him say, this was a simple lot split. Actually, and that's done with just the mayor and chairman of planning and zoning can meet and do that, and that's what we did, because it met the criteria for a simple lot split. That's why you haven't seen the lot split here, planning and zoning. Okay. Any questions on what we're doing here? Is there a motion for the zone change?
And make a motion to accept the zoning change.
Doug moves to approve. Is there a second?
All second.
Amy seconds. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Next up.
Okay, second application. I put some laydown items in front of you. After the agenda page, you'll see an updated plat document. The only changes were made to the legal language on the back of the plat. No changes were made to the first page. It was per our city attorney request, and those requests were fulfilled. So what you have in front of you is an application for a plat to replat Lot 2, Block 6, Blast River Edition, as you see on the location map here, and also a zone change request from R2 to R4. It's currently R2, and they would like to, R2, R4, and PF Public Facilities. So they're asking for the zone change to accommodate for a single-family development, and then Lot 8, Block 2, and Lot 12, Block 4. These would be HOA lots, and they're requesting that these lots be rezoned to PF Public Facilities. So the request for the plat application is to plat a 52-lot, 4-block subdivision of approximately 30.11 acres. That's kind of the southwest corner of that Lost River area. You have the Horace diversion on the left down here, the Cheyenne River. As part of this plat, in our comp plan, it talks about how it's recommended that we have drain crossings every half mile. This area down here is pretty close to that half-mile mark. We took this to the Southeast Cass Water Resource District meeting as a proposed crossing or connection. They directed us to work with their engineer. He stated that, in his opinion, it would be feasible. And we'll be meeting with the U.S. Army Corps on August 23rd, I believe, to look at more detailed specs and plans to get their feedback. But what we would be providing right here is a vital connection to the rest of the community. When staff kind of looked at this proposal, you're looking at hundreds of homes in this area with only 3 access points. And when we looked at this, we thought, gosh, this seems similar to the Deer Creek addition in Fargo, where you have limited access points and hundreds of homes. So to avoid that, we thought it would be appropriate to create some sort of connection, whether it's to this access road or over the drain, and then hopefully with the future connection to 100th Avenue down here. And the reason I wanted to point this out is, for example, if someone were to live in Maple Lake Estates and they wanted to go to Meadowlark Park, they'd have to go all the way down County Road 17, all the way down Wall Avenue to access that property. So that was kind of the one of the highlights I wanted to point out with this plat. And then also we have a 20-foot pedestrian access down here off of this cul-de-sac area. In terms of land dedication, during the February 3rd, 2020 City Council meeting, the City Council approved a cash in lieu payment of $569,091 for the remaining 87-acre area of the Lost River Addition. Because this replat falls within the bounds of that area, there wouldn't be any land dedication required for this application. Staff sent out property owner notification letters. Staff didn't receive any comments. And staff feels that this application meets the intent and requirements of the Horace 2045 Horace Comprehensive Plan. We recommend approval as stated in the staff report. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Can you show me where the public facilities lots are?
Yep, these are these narrow lots. Sorry, I kind of lost my place here, but it would be this lot right here and then this lot right here along the edge of Meadowlark Parkway. That would be consistent with Lost River Fit to the north.
And you refer to those as HOA lots, so is HOA gonna maintain them?
Correct, so the lots would be maintained by a homeowners association.
Okay.
What are they doing with lot 12 up there that's really small? On the very top, very adjacent to Meadowlark Parkway, very top, right there, yeah?
That's on a previous plat.
That's previous?
That's a previous plat.
So that's why this is here. Okay, so this one here is HOA, and this one here is HOA. And we have no other, those are the 2 public facilities ones, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
These all drain to the pond?
Pond or to the oxbow, but these all go. You'll see the rivers on the south side there. Some of some of those far southern lots do drain that way, but most of them go back through the pond. So yes.
And how do they functionally drain to the oxbow?
There's an inlet, is part of the first phase down the ways that goes into, that drains into that oxbow.
Okay.
It's wrapped on the south side of Meadowlark Park.
Okay, opening the public hearing for the plat and the zone change for Lost River 7. Is anybody here for that?
Mr. Chair, I'm Keith West, and I'm the board manager with Southeast Cass
Okay.
District. Just want to say that I'm looking forward to the meeting on August 23rd between the city, the Corps, and the board. And hopefully we can better understand what you're hoping to do. Keep in mind, though, that this is a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers project, and so we do have to get permits from them
Oh, yeah.
to modify anything on that structure. And you understand the government sometimes isn't the fastest in the world. So please have patience. We look forward to visiting with you and finding out what you're proposing, and we'll go from there.
I think the ultimate would be 81st Street would be on the other side, would be on the west side of our diversion. And hopefully at some point in the future, that may be beyond my future, but there'll be an actual road there, because that road would actually, if every plan for that road happened, it would cross the West Fargo diversion and join the Fairground Road. There's even plans for overpass on, that'd be a monster overpass up there, because it's got to cross the interstate.
It's very important to talk about what you foresee the future,
Yes.
rather than building it too small and then go on shooting.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we're doing this. Do we expect to see anything happen there? I don't expect to see anything happen there for years.
Right,
But if we don't provide for it, it can't.
right. Yeah, I'll box you, so.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make you aware that we're here, and we look forward to hearing your
Okay.
proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for this public hearing? Okay, closing this public hearing. No. Questions? I don't expect these lots to go cheap.
Never made anything without a purpose, really. Everything has a purpose and has a plan. God could have created you without a plan, but He gave a plan for your life. Why? Because He loves you. He loves you. He is a good God. And
Let's handle them separately. Is there a motion to accept the plat?
the plan is revealed, and it is realized through prayer. The more you pray, the more you're going to understand God's plan for your life. He says that I have good plans for you, not plans to hurt you, to give you hope, give you a good future. And when you call to me and pray to me, I will listen to you. Look up here on the screen. The Bible says this.
Okay, I'll bring forth a motion. I move that we accept the plat. Is there a second?
Good in your life. Submit to God. Everything good.
I'll second.
Kim seconds.
Great blessings for those who honor you. And notice it says
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I can do that, by the way. I can make one. I generally don't. Zone change. Zoning 2, R4 intermediate and public facilities. Is there a motion for the zone change?
I'm sorry, is that R4 high intermediate density residential and PF public facilities?
Yes, I'm sorry. All those things, everything you have written here.
But now it's based off the plat, correct?
We would be matching, we do the plat first, because if we're not gonna do the plat, there's no reason to change,
Correct.
to change the zone. So, yes, that would now match the plat that we just approved. So is there a motion to accept the zone change?
I would move to accept the zone change to the R4 higher intermediate density and the public facilities.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Julie seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, next.
Okay. The third item on our agenda is future land use map and comprehensive, or change in a comprehensive plan amendment. You looked at this during past planning commission meetings. We had a neighborhood meeting with property owners along 64th Avenue. This proposal is looking at the future land use map, land designations from County Road 17 all the way out to County Road 27. And I just wanted to reiterate, this is not zoning. This is a future land use map that was approved in 2019. This acts as a policy or a guide for the city to direct preferred development in certain geographic locations. So these future land use future land use designations are the types of development that we'd like to see occur in 2045. So this does not restrict your current land use or take away your right to develop under the current zoning ordinance here under. So when we looked at this, the area that we kind of examined were these properties up here, orange compact development. This is more of a high density development. And we looked at these yellow areas, which is classified as suburban. These are kind of classified as low density residential development. And then this brown area right here is urban. This is kind of classified as kind of a urban form, high density residential and commercial. So after the neighborhood meeting, staff kind of went back to the drawing table and looked at the map again and made another change to the map with a different proposal. As you'll remember, in the past, we had this whole corridor as mixed-use development and this suburban area as a compact development. What we've done is we've now changed the urban future land use designation to mixed use. We have it on both sides of 64th Avenue for the full depth of the lots. And then it kind of terminates at 66th Street. If you remember, this is the street that's supposed to lead down to the future elementary school and regional park area. And then what we did is we put in this new future land use map designation titled intermediate. And this was kind of at the request of policymakers to create some sort of buffer between dense development and less dense development. So we've looked at this before. Nothing has changed. It basically states that this category would provide for single-family detached homes on medium-sized lots, to be located between suburban and compact development future land use designations, recommended density of somewhere around 3 to 5 units an acre. And I believe the recommended zoning would be like R1 to R4, so we would update the table. When we looked at the comprehensive plan, we thought this was appropriate because we looked in the transportation chapter. It talks about future functional classifications for city streets. And the recommendation for 64th Avenue, I have it in this blue rectangle, was mixed-use arterial. And mixed-use arterial was basically supposed to be a corridor that would provide a means for high volumes of traffic to pass through, but it would also stay walkable. And then it kind of gave some recommendations on the different aspects of what that corridor would look like in adjoining land uses. So the recommended land use is multifamily, residential, commercial, and industrial. I don't think we're going to put industrial next to residential, so we mainly focused on multifamily commercial. And what the future land use designation that we thought would be the most appropriate would be mixed use. So with our recommendation, I don't think we have this area quite figured out yet, but I think given what's occurring in Fargo, the future capital improvement plan with the county, the future traffic counts, our vision for this area in 2045 would likely be we'd want to see more dense and high intensity land uses. So I think to be consistent, we would just pencil in this whole block for mixed use and then keep it consistent all the way down the corridor on the east side. And then along with that, we'd put this buffer in between the compact development and mixed use and the suburban future land use designations. When we sent out property owner notification letters, I did get a comment from one of the property owners. That's one of your laydown items, the email. And then with that, there was a suggested future land use map layout under their preference. I've also received emails from residents on the east side who stated that they would like to table the item, and I recommended that they come to the meeting tonight to discuss the issue, and I believe they're all here today. So, but staff feels that this proposal meets all the requirements of our zoning ordinance, the intent of the 2045 comp plan, and we recommend approval.
Okay, opening the public hearing for the future land use map change.
Do these residents have this letter?
Sir,
As you emailed
I'm
to
Joe
me.
Hess. I think you guys know where my lot is,
So,
right?
you've
but
got
they
5.
could-
Give them a
Yeah.
copy
Yep.
so they can read it.
Okay. Greg is the one that wanted to talk to you guys about tabling this for a little bit because his family vacation started today. He's not here today, but he asked me to bring this up that he would like to table this until he can figure out everything on
Okay,
his
in
side.
general, we're not probably gonna have a motion to table it.
Okay.
Just so you know, anything we do here is a recommendation to city council.
Okay.
It goes to the city council for final either approval or rejection.
Okay. He wanted me to say that.
Okay.
Now we're gonna move to the north side. That's me.
Okay,
Okay, I want to see it going to the way it was originally when we talked, and the main reason is a developer has talked to me about showing very good interest because of the way it was. I totally understand what you're saying, that doesn't mean it's that, but he
Okay, now,
says
now.
it looks better for him.
to the way it was, what do you,
Before we went to making mine yellow. Mine would have been multi-use,
yours would have been pink,
yes,
pink all the way down.
all the way down.
Okay, yours and,
Gary would have been pink,
and,
and you would have been pink.
and how, so your neighbors are good with that?
You'll have to ask them.
Okay,
But that's why I'm here. I want to see it that way, because like I said, it's going to make a difference, even though eventually it probably will be this way, but it makes a difference when they're looking at buying something for the future.
okay, Barrett.
Chairman, for the minutes, would you like to have them state their name and address at the podium, and then we can take note of that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Actually, we're recording it,
Okay.
so,
You need me up there?
yes, please.
Okay, we gotta start over?
Yes.
One more time.
Say it right again, one more time.
Now you've practiced.
All of
so
that,
it'll
one
be
more
better.
time. Okay.
And pull the mic up, so, there we go.
So you can, okay. I'm Joe Hess, or Christopher Joe Hess. I own that spot there on the north side. And I had a developer come in and talk to me about possibly buying my property. And the main reason he is because it looks like it's going to be some kind of a mixed-use commercial would be going through there. And that's what I was happy with. After the last meeting we left, I didn't realize it was going to be changed to what it is. No, I didn't write anything down on a piece of paper like they asked, but I thought you guys kind of felt that's what I wanted when I left. And
We were trying to reach some kind of happy accommodation with most of the folks, with folks across the street.
no, I appreciate that, and so does he. He really wanted to be here, but they left tonight for a vacation.
And I don't blame them for leaving on vacation.
And because I definitely told him I would tell
Yes.
you guys that.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's your feelings, you think, on doing that? I mean, we got Gary here, I don't know how he feels. We got Tom here on it, we got Kevin over there that's actually on the south side, if they want to talk to you about it, but I'd really like to see it going back to the multi-use on the north side of the road.
Okay.
He just likes color pink, I think.
Yeah. mauve or whatever it is. It's an ugly color, but yeah.
Okay, I go pink.
Okay, good enough.
Pink, red.
Okay, so, anybody else wanna come up? Sure.
I'm Gary Vanderbick, and I own the lot at 6195. But I see in the first current, I got the triangle like that, and that's old railroad property. And now in the proposed, you got that all cut off. Now, did Joe gain my land, or did I gain some different land, or did I get?
That is not a plat. Okay, it's just showing blocks of property.
Okay, then why is mine
Okay,
dark pink then like that?
oh, that's,
Are you right here?
Yeah.
He's next to
No,
mine.
no,
Right here?
He's
Right
my,
there.
yeah. He'd be across that road that's not quite there yet.
that
Oh,
was,
okay, okay.
that's just a continuation of the transition zone to keep, high density, anything, to give it a buffer from large lots.
I don't understand.
Okay, do you wanna be pink?
Well, I don't know why I'm dark pink like
No,
that.
do you wanna be pink?
Well, that's what I wanna know. Is that better or worse than being what I am?
Actually, it makes no difference.
For now.
Let me rephrase that. It makes no difference now or until the point at which you might want to sell your land. When it makes a difference when you want to sell your land is, as Joe Hess was saying, he has a developer who's interested in his land as the mixed use, the pink, the light pink, okay, because of future development that he may be able to do there.
Yeah, I'm kinda in favor of the mixed use, but, you know, that's why I see my color is different than, but there's that whole corridor going south.
We were just they moved the buffer all the way up to,
Gary, I think that's just a buffer from like residential. They were just trying to put a buffer from residential to mixed
Okay, now
use.
how is that gonna affect taxes then in the future?
taxes hit. Okay, this has zero effect on your current zoning. How it's gonna affect taxes in the future? If by 2045 or 2040 or 2035, you've actually sold your land to someone and they've built a commercial buildings there, they'll be taxed accordingly. You are still residential. See,
What happens if this mixed use though, I wanted to do something like, say I'm gonna do strip farming or do a solar panels or something in there? Or grow some truck farming, you know, like vegetables or,
your zoning hasn't changed. No, he's not ag.
I think suburban residential.
it was ag at one time, but then that
So
got
was
changed.
I. So was I. That went away when we got annexed. That's when mine went away, and you were in the same annexation that I was, I think. So that's when yours would have gone away.
So I can't grow, say like a truck farm type thing where I got fruits and vegetables and stuff like that there and then have solar panels?
I have huge gardens and solar panels, and I'm zoned the same way you are.
Well, I'm just looking at the future so I can be doing something
No.
there.
This isn't changing your zoning. This is changing the future land use. In other words, you may sell your land, or you may decide at some point that instead of this being residential property, you would like to now build
Next
a,
SCAF apartments.
yes, like SCAF Apartments, just north of Home
No,
Depot.
I want no apartments there.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, Nate owns the property next to me, Sam's kid, so.
Okay,
That's why I brought that up.
okay.
There's no, they wouldn't put apartments in there at all, it's multi-use.
For mixed use,
For mixed,
for mixed use, you can put apartments in there. However, the first floor of those apartments is 15 feet tall. In other words, it can be, you could put one in, but the reason for the first floor being 15 feet from the first floor to the second floor is if someone wants to come back in and put commercial on the first floor. Otherwise,
that's understandable.
generally mixed use is frequently commercial on the first floor, possibly on the second, and then apartments above it.
So, Chairman?
Kind of like,
If I could add, if you find this helpful, basically, this does not change your zoning, but if somebody wants to change the zoning of your property in the future, we'll look to this document to see, which will kind of guide the policymakers in making that decision, whether they'll allow that to occur or not. So based on what future land use designation we have on this map, will kind of determine their response to that request. So if you were to keep it as is, if someone were to come forward with a commercial development proposal and want to rezone your property, we'd likely say no, because the future land use map shows a intermediate transition, future land use. However, if you disagreed with this and you opted for mixed use and the Planning Commission and City Council agreed, and someone came forward with a development for a commercial property and asked for a zone change, we would likely say yes, because the future land use map would show a higher intensity and dense land use for that area.
so it'd be beneficial than just to go with the multi-use and just thinking of the future then is what it boils down to.
It increases your options for sale of the land or your own development.
Well, that's why I wanted to make sure so that I could do something else, you know, because things change. I mean, it's, you know, 5 years from now, we could be doing something way different, you know, but
Yeah.
that's what I want to make sure that we can, you know, move forward. We don't have to go through a bunch of meetings and.
So you're asking that your property would be just like Joe Hess's, which would be mixed use?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what, if we change Joe Hess.
But I mean, I see mine's different color though, that's why I was
That
just
was,
wondering.
that was just a transition.
Okay, and then I
That was
lost
kind of what the
either-
discussion is, right? That if we wanted a buffer or not, really.
That's part of the discussion.
Well, yes, part of
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I mean, I can, probably you can guess what Nate's opinion is on what he'd like to do with his property, and probably mine if he was to buy it.
And what is that?
Last name's Scap,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to come up and speak? Please.
Okay, my name is Kevin Burbeck. I live on the Visco Street there. And originally you had the very end of my property. I got the triangle on the south side of the road.
Yes.
And at the river, you had the grade level with Perry's on this. You had the multi-use on that one too. I suppose being a buffer zone on this, that's not possible to put it back to pink.
The,
Because we've got Perry and Gary there. That's right next to my property on the south side too there. And they want to stay residential. I think they do. But the end of mine is vacant basically. And having it zoned multi-use would be beneficial for me. Or not zoned, but labeled.
future land use, future,
That's,
yes.
you know, that's no, what I was wondering is,
I,
can it be
I-
come around
I-
and jump
I-
over or?
I agree, but my guess is we're probably not gonna stretch the south side over like that,
That's what I was wondering.
just because of, a lot of disagreement with it. And frankly, you know, this is a 2045 comprehensive plan. In other words, we're looking quite a ways down the line. If we can get most of the area changed over on the future land use map to mixed use, we figure in time, it may happen that everyone wants to go there. Your neighbors. may wanna go there as well. But if we can have most of that corridor on the future land use map as mixed use, the future, I think, will take care of itself. You know what I mean?
Time will tell.
Yeah, and frankly, I can't see anybody putting a building in there anytime. In fact, we don't want, let me rephrase that. I don't want to see anybody building on 64th anytime in the next few years.
No, I don't either.
We don't want to do that road. We just don't want to have to do that road yet, that street. And anybody who's building on that street may force the issue for us. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think, just from, I also attend all the city council meetings, and I don't think anybody has a stomach at this point to put in an arterial road, pave an arterial road that we don't have to. Now, before we ever get to the point that we need it, it'll need to be paved before we need it, you know what I mean? In other words, we don't wanna have a whole bunch of buildings there, okay, now we'll pave it. So, the optimum from my personal standpoint, I can't speak for the rest of this, my personal standpoint is yes, we're looking at future, which may exceed our lifetimes. But we want to get the planning in for it, because if you have any idea what they're already doing to the east of you.
Oh, I know exactly what's going on east of me.
Can you spit and hit it?
Damn near.
I think so.
Yes.
There's a big hole to the northeast of me.
Oh, yeah, well,
It's growing.
there's stuff beside, you know, they've already done the, for the Sanford stuff they're building out there, they,
You know, going further east here, where they've got, the contractors out there on the south side of 64th Avenue, they're working out there right now.
yes,
And they're taking and doing overpass right now.
yes.
And on the north side of that, I understand that there's gonna be a old folks home right south of Walmart.
They have a whole bunch of concrete streets already leading down to 64th.
Yes, they do.
You can't drive on them, but they're there. Anyway, so we understand where you're coming from. Anybody else want to speak? Okay, Matt?
Matthew Hoff with HS Investments, and I own the 30 acres in the corner of 64th and Cheyenne there. Right now it's compact, the orange right there. So a couple of things. I had purchased some of that land just a few months ago before there were any possible changes, I guess, that we're entertaining, and I purchased it under the pretense that it'd be compact development. I submitted an application recently for rezone and a plat change on that land. Since then, I mean, obviously it's looking like we might want to do something different, which actually I mostly agree with. I think, especially on the corner of 64th and Cheyenne, makes a lot of sense to have a different type of use than residential in that area. The one thing I probably disagree with, and I think Chris Mack, who's working with me on this as well, maybe provided Barrett, I don't know if Barrett, or Mr. Boyd, if you've supplied the planning with what we're thinking there, but I don't know that it'll work along the entire corridor. I don't know if, I kind of feel like there might need to be a transition that occurs. And so what I think would work nicely is to keep a lot of that like you have it, kind of in that pink. Maybe add in some higher density residential, like some townhomes and that, and then transitioning behind Deer Creek there to more like residential. The existing mixed use, as it talks about in the comprehensive 2045 plan, is defined differently than the zoning mixed use, and under the way that they define the 2045 plan, there won't be any room for any kind of apartments in terms of floor coverage ratio. Townhomes wouldn't meet the density. Single family definitely doesn't. So it kind of strong arms it into basically just commercial. And yeah, I understand that my preference doesn't align necessarily with neighbors in that way, where theirs would make sense to develop it into that. I have to disagree a little bit with Russ. I think the piece on 64th in the corner of Cheyenne is more developable because it has access to Deer Creek Parkway and doesn't need to have access, depending on what it is, from 64th. And so I can appreciate that it's a 2045 plan, that it goes out for a long time, but it's likely that some of this will get developed before some of the rest of it, just based on its proximity to County Road 17. And so what we've supplied there would be more like what we would like to see for the area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Wait, Chris.
Yep, I'm Chris Mack with New Horizon Homes LLC. Most of the area to the south, I'm the representative for the developer on all of the orange and the basically 60 or 17 to 64th, that whole corner. I think we're in support of what Barrett's proposing. I guess the one thing that I seen, and it might be just an error, the residential below, so we got the transition zone, and then there's a lot, or the sliver of the residential below the two lots, like Greg's and Perry's.
Oh, right here?
Yeah, I think that's supposed to jog similar to the map I handed out, yeah. You see how that, I think we need to, because that's still part of New Horizon Homes. So we'd like to,
You know what he's pointing out there, Bert?
Yep.
Yep.
yeah, I just noticed that. I didn't notice it when I printed this earlier today, but.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yep, and then also with Matt, we've been working with this concept. We're in support of it. I guess the one comment is we have.
Now, when you say this concept, which concept?
The concept I handed out.
Okay.
Yep, with the compact development between, I know it's not lining up with what some of the residents have said here, where they want mixed use all the way along 64th, but we do have commercial development down between 76 and Lakeview Drive. That's all commercial, and then it continues all the way up to 64th, and then it's going to continue on 17th up to 64th, and then it's going to continue all the way to the east towards where the transition zone will hit. So we're in support of it because that's just a lot of commercial right now anyways. I mean, it might change, but I guess that's our thoughts, and for that to get developed it's gonna be into that 2045, I think, because commercial always does take longer to develop than.
Yeah, we've got.
It takes 10 to 15, once the residential is filled out, it will take 10 to 15 years for that commercial to develop, so.
Fully understand that, but if we have located residential on that commercial, on those areas before that time, it pretty much takes care of whether that'll happen or not, yes?
True, yeah.
That's
Indeed, yeah.
That's the point. We're actually trying to look long range here. And, if, let's say we get 15 years down the line and, looks like that's not really gonna happen the way we're looking at it today.
Mhm.
What do we do then? We change the future land use. Whoever's sitting here recommends a change in the future land use map again. But if we've already occupied that land with houses, we can change it all we want, but it's probably not going to change. You know where I live.
Yep, yep.
Okay, so my land is developable because I have one house on it, okay?
Mhm.
Not 30.
Yeah,
That changes the dollars a lot.
yeah, yeah, and it'd be compact development as well, so.
Well, mine wouldn't be compact development.
No, but what we're proposing here.
Yes. Oh. Yeah, but the weird is, this is, you guys are down here, you're not up here.
That's
Yes,
what,
that's
that's what Matt.
Matt's
yeah.
on the north side, yes.
Yep, that's Matt's, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Matt's been working with me.
We're developing the project together.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, so. That's
Okay,
all I
thank
got.
you.
Yep, thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Since I talk out of turn quite often, I might as well go up here, right? I'm Tom Kemper, I'm essentially neighbor to Gary, and on the north side, where you guys would probably look at buffering. I'm fine with it as mixed use. I think everybody here has spoken on the north side. I think mixed use all the way down would be fine. I think that is a good future plan. Gary is, we have the imaginary 62nd Street between Gary and I. Or should I say the future 62nd Street.
My guess is it'll probably happen someday.
Yeah, I would guess. I mean, Fargo plowed it right into the tree line there, so I know they got their part there waiting for us.
Well, anyway, and since we actually have the right of way, we've only abandoned one piece of right of way in the last 16 years I've been on this board. And that was because it didn't make sense for it to be there anymore.
Certainly. No, I believe it makes sense for the future use of what even these gentlemen, who I didn't know before, have planned. I mean, my running joke is I've been out there 16, 17 years, it's coming. We might as well plan for it and plan for the future. I think it's just doing, I didn't attend the past meetings, just Joe here talked me into coming. I believe that's what we're seeing come. I know Nate Scaff owns the property next to me, the old Moorhead residence. And obviously his goal is future development of some kind, whether that's mixed use of some sort. So I'm sure he's on board. But I can, speaking for my property there, and obviously Gary sounds like he's on board here, that I think that is appropriate use on the north side. So I'm just adding my official comment, and it's really all I have.
Just so you know, I'm in kind of the position you are, only my future land use map already changed. You know, I've got 9 1/4 acres.
Sure.
On 76th Avenue.
Yeah.
But my
We're
intention.
down here.
But,
This is where we live.
Gotcha.
across the map.
but my intention is to be carried out of their feet first. And let my heirs work with the developers.
I'm probably skipping out in a year.
Okay.
But, you can see it coming. I mean, Deer Creek are my neighbors. I kind of let my tree line grow in nicely. It's great in the summers. I don't see them, but
Yes.
I mean, no offense. We were out here rurally, and it's coming. We're not. I don't think anyone's arguing that point. So,
Yes.
but I think mixed use is going to be the best potential for any investor or potential person that wants to develop that. And again, my understanding is it as is right now until someone wants to develop, plan. I built one commercial building, that was enough for me, so I won't be developing.
And wants to pay you.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think everybody on the north side sounds like we're on board with
Okay.
the plan, I guess. So unless Gary has a question. Thanks.
I got one more question.
Sure.
When do you think fire? I got one more question. When do you think fire hydrants will be in along there? Is there a plan for that?
When the street is put in.
Oh, when the street is done?
I'm just guessing.
Mhm.
No, we have nothing to do with that, but just guessing how everything is happening when the street goes. I have a fire hydrant right in front of my house, you know, for 24 years, it was 3/4 of a mile away to the nearest fire hydrant. I have one now because they put the street in front of my house. When the street goes in, all the infrastructure goes in first.
Oh, okay.
And that would include, because we're not building new areas without fire hydrants.
Yeah, right. That's what I want to make sure that that's coming or planning for it.
Okay.
But when the street gets done.
And I'm not telling you that's what our plan is, because we have nothing to do with it. That's just how it works. When the street
Well,
goes
the
in,
plan,
all
but you're
the
part of planning and zoning, though, would you have something to do?
Zero.
Zero?
Zero.
No, that's not part of planning?
Just where the street is gonna be. Just where the street is gonna be. We don't, everything else is engineers and developers, but the developers don't get really a say on the fire hydrants. That's when we do a new area, the infrastructure goes in first, then you do the streets, and that's when the fire hydrants go in. That's why we've got fire hydrants, like I said, that's why I have one right in front of my house.
Yeah, but that doesn't do me any good.
Doesn't do you any good, except it's a closer place for the tanker
Oh,
to fill up his tank as he's coming to your house, because that's.
it's got water in it then, too.
It has, yes.
And nobody ever here lit their tree line on fire.
Are you looking at somebody?
No, me, I did it. Those guys love their job, though, let me tell you. Fire department. I think I had 30 trucks, lights all over, we needed like a little hose is what we.
Tom, you were left unsupervised.
I was.
What did Kathy say?
She was gone, actually, no.
Does anybody else care to speak?
Anyway.
Okay, closing the public hearing. Okay. Now, comments?
My only comment is to the whole group is the reason everything was looked at the way it was is with 64th is going to become so busy in the future, hopefully. That's why everything was looked at mixed use as far as we took it. And then we were looking for some kind of transition along the way. You know, I can see going all the way with the mixed use, but that's kind of why it was set up the way it was in the initial round of this. So, and keep in mind, this is future use. A lot of that isn't zoned that. So, a lot of these maps, even the current map up on top, a lot of that land isn't zoned what it's shown on there. That's just what it's currently planned for. So.
Okay, now I have a question to all of you. Do you go along with mixed use all the way down on the north side of 64th?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense, then that's what they want, so
Well,
nothing wrong with that. It seems the majority is saying that they'd like that because they feel maybe that'll give them more value for their property to be sold later, I don't know.
Julie?
Yep.
Okay,
I'm fine with that.
now,
And then you're not jumping from zone to zone.
south side, would you go along with that transition?
Jumping over?
It should go and then,
Jogging over here and down?
and then where it is right now, it would be orange then?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, understand, this is a change too. This orange is a change from what is currently
Yeah.
future land use map.
Yellow right
Yes.
now, right?
Yes. That's going for more, that's dropping back to more compact development.
Well, that kind of seems to make sense if you want to do transition from, just my opinion.
Well, if
If you want
we're-
to transition from the mixed use to the larger lots, you kind of have a little more compact before you got to that.
Mhm.
So I can see why.
Yes, I do too. Would you agree to shift this transition down over to here? In other words, there is this land is part of,
It's shown, if you look at,
Yes.
it's shown on the handouts.
Yes.
It looks just like that.
so instead of that transition dropping straight down, it jogs over.
Sure.
Are you good with that?
Yes.
Doug?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Would it go past that triangle piece that he was talking about?
So where does your buffer go then?
You know, he wanted that as the next use.
You're talking about the south side.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would be fine with leaving the mixed-use stop on the south side at 66th Street. Just because, I think eventually,
It's
it
going
will-
past 66th on this map. Here. Goes over here. And then the transition starts right here or approximately here. If I'm reading this correctly, and I don't have my glasses. You have readers or those prescription? See? It's right here.
Oh, that's
Proposing a more narrow transition.
okay, then we still have a transition beside the two lots up there on the north end.
For everybody's understanding, this is 66th Street, right here. I don't know if you can see this white line.
Yep.
You could almost put it all into it. Other color, include the residential lots too. I don't know. It's not gonna change them, but in the future they would.
I think they didn't include it because there were, the people who currently own that right now were upset and wanted to leave it the way it is.
Yeah, and
So that's why they were trying to do this buffering and everything.
in fact, I would go along because those folks were really upset. And my guess is that 10, 15, 20 years,
They'll change their mind probably.
maybe, don't know.
We don't know.
But,
Magic ball.
what's that?
Magic ball.
Yeah. But in all likelihood, eventually, I think it'll probably all be commercial along there, eventually. But again, we're looking at a 2045 plan, not a 2023 plan or 2025 plan. We're still looking 24 years down the line.
And as,
Okay, good.
and as time goes on, you're saying like in 2025 or 2030, it might get looked at and adjusted even more. It's not like, it's kind of a living document. We are adjusting as time change, as the need changes and as we get closer to that.
Chris, your layout here up in the very northeast corner. So you'll be pulling a street in right off 66th there just in.
That is what the platted, that's the way it's platted, right? 'Cause that right away is already platted, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I know 66 is, but the east-west avenue up there, that's just a guess?
It's just something that we can, it's kind of the same thing, it
Okay.
changes as we.
I understand.
Yeah, just a development plan, it's changing all the time.
Yeah, that'll be Southdale's 8 or whatever.
15, who knows?
Who knows? Okay.
Yeah.
So, are you guys good with this corner up here? This transition?
Could I add a comment, sir?
Oh, please.
As staff, we don't really prefer to do this on a parcel by parcel
Understand.
basis. This is kind of conceptual, really global. I guess the proposal we're looking at is just a blob, so that if we get a couple of different proposals, it at least gives us the flexibility to look at the context of the site and see if it kind of fits in that area. I don't think it's really worth value to kind of pinpoint
Okay.
where the line is, unless you wanted to make it very adamant, you want to see that on the other side of 66th Street.
Well,
And
the
that-
only question I have is if they end up wanting to put some houses, well, no, actually,
That the only value I see is if you want to purposely put it on the other side of 66th Street, that would be really helpful for staff when we get development proposals, that you would entertain those types of proposals. If not, and it doesn't make a difference, then I would suggest that we just terminate it at 66th Street. But staff isn't really concerned where that line falls on the other side of 66.
we did in Lakeview, last meeting, we did a spot future land use map change to conform to what was happening. And that, a little blob like that, that could happen again too. So,
That's what, yeah.
so,
But the difference is that our map right now, unfortunately, is a combination of parcel-based
I know,
future land use designation and colored areas, and I would lean towards, we should probably just move towards colored areas rather than parcel-based, because we don't know if the platting of that land is gonna change the configuration in the future.
okay. So I'm going to propose we divide this up into north side and south side of 64th future land use map. And to clarify what I'm talking about on 64th, I'm gonna move that everything on the north side of 64th on the future land use map goes to mixed use. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Julie seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. South side of 64th. I propose that I move that the future land use map look just the way it is now on staff's proposal. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Kim seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Is that all clear?
There's one more item, to add the future land use designation of intermediate and to update the map and the chart to reflect that new future land use designation.
Oh, did we only do that into the comprehensive plan?
That is an amendment to the comprehensive plan. And with the change proposed, it includes that future land use map designation that's not already existing in the comp plan. So we'll need a motion on approving that.
Okay, now,
If you're okay with this.
we have the intermediate in the comprehensive plan.
No, it does not exist.
I thought we did that.
No, it never came forward until tonight. So if you're gonna approve this
No,
map,
pull the minutes for pull up the minutes for last meeting. I'm trying to remember what I'm remembering here. Oh, never mind. No, let's see. I thought we had done intermediate in the
I
comprehensive
think we
plan.
talked about it, but did it have to be like advertised or
Okay.
did it be, there was some reason we couldn't do it last time?
I think you're thinking about Maple Lake Estates.
Could be,
Um,
because we,
and that one's been tabled with the city council for a while. So I
Okay.
guess I'm trying to include it with this one so that if this
okay, so
application
call up what
goes
what
forward.
we're dealing with right now then.
Sorry for the confusion. It's
Oh, no, I'm the one that's confused.
it's been tough trying to get this move forward. But so now this will be under 2 applications. Whichever gets to the city council first will this proposal will go before the city council.
Oh. Yes, it was tabled. I understand. Okay,
So in this language, we would also need an action to approve the new future land use designation titled intermediate and to update all graphics and charts to reflect that new future land use category.
Kim moves to approve, is there a second?
I'll second.
Amy seconds, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Now the intermediate actually exists. What, when the city council says it does?
Yeah, I apologize, I should have clarified that earlier. Never dawned on me for some reason.
Okay, you are all welcome to stay. What we're dealing now is just a design review on a couple commercial buildings. Everything that we have done for public hearings is done, and we won't be going back and visiting them again. But you're welcome to stay.
Thanks for your input.
Thanks.
Okay, first design review is for All-Star Construction. This should look familiar. Back in April, May, you approved or recommended approval for a conditional use permit to allow for a contractor shop and contractor yard. So
Okay.
that's what's being proposed with this building. This would be the office area, this would be the contractor shop area, and then there is a contractor yard. In the packet, we just showed how it was about, oops. Oh, there's the other one, sorry. In the packet, it shows how we evaluated the application. It met all of our requirements.
This is the roofing contractor, yes?
Correct.
Roofing contractor's daughter.
Are you recusing yourself? Not this roofing contractor, okay.
Sorry, it looks like our internet's slowed down. But
I think so.
everything met 20%. There was over 20% glazing on the front facade that faces the public right of way.
Where's the site again?
I'm sorry. This is off of 100th Avenue in Vistos Industrial 3rd Edition, east of County Road 17. This is kind of on the east side of that subdivision.
And the two
along the
buildings
front
that
shore.
we're looking at are right next to each other, right?
Correct, yep. So this one's on the east, the next one will be on the west.
Okay.
And yeah, it just kind of shows our evaluation. It had all of the required materials. It met the glazing requirements, and it met the requirements in terms of screening of dumpsters and mechanical equipment.
Hey, good job, guys.
So this, with the site plan, how far does the storage yard go? Because I don't see that side pavement, and I see where the parking lot runs out too, but not where it terminates. Where does the storage yard run, and how far does it run?
We really don't have much of a storage area. Behind the shop, there's gonna be a fence coming off the corner of the office, between the shop and the office, where the two AC units are at the very top there. There'll be a fence coming straight off of that, and then coming back down towards the corner of the building there. There'll just be limited storage in there behind the screen fence. Other than that, the north side of our yard will not be stored.
Yeah, cause all you got's a walkout road there, so you can't even just get through or nothing. The fork's back there.
And how far does your storage area then go to the east? Is that all gonna be
Cause the fence right now, what we're gonna do is come off of where the shop and the office intersect at the 22 grade, come straight off and then come down and connect to the corner of the shop. Which would be the northwest corner, I guess, of that building. So it's just basically behind the actual shop area that we'll have some storage space.
Oh, there it is.
So,
Okay.
yeah, the whole north end of it will just be grass.
Okay, let's look at the face of the building again. That's what faces the street?
Correct.
That's what faces County Road 100? Questions or comments?
Looks good to me.
Motions.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Kim moves to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Doug seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, next.
Real quick on my, so are we good to go for permit now, is that what I understand?
Could I address?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, so at this point, they didn't add any additional requirements, so tomorrow I'll be sending an email to the building inspector stating that planning has signed off on your permit application. If all of the other departments have signed off, then your permit should be issued.
Okay, thank you.
They just had conditional use previously?
Yes. No, the conditional use had to do with contractor's yard.
Got it.
So all of that has actually come through before us.
Okay.
We are actually only doing the design review at this point. Barry?
Okay. Second one, pretty similar. The conditional use permit requirements are exactly the same as the property on the east. It allows for a contractor shop and contractor yard in a C3 general commercial zoning district. Pretty similar concept. You know, with an office, a shop in the back, and then a contractor yard in the rear. So this would be the front that would face the street. Did meet all the requirements in terms of materials, glazing, screening. The roof and the facade were both over 100 feet. It did meet the requirements of providing some architectural interest. There was a canopy over the door, change in roof line, cupolas on top of the roof. Our reviews showed that it met all the zoning ordinance requirements.
Questions?
Your turn.
That reminds me of, I was just talking to a mom recently this past week, and she has a little girl who's just very emotional, high strung.
Let's go back to the County Road 100 view.
And she's from kind of no nonsense personality, so she's just at a loss what to do with this little girl. And I said, oh, I love this, she's passionate. She goes, oh.
Just out of curiosity, what color is the roof going to be?
It's gonna be like deep charcoal. It was gonna be black, but now they're all out of black.
No.
Oh, COVID.
It'll be a deep charcoal, the wainscoting will be white, the stucco will be a different color to contrast it, and it'll be dark stone. The black windows.
If there are no more questions, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Amy moves to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Julie seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ooh, I think we have just one more motion here we need.
Isn't that Ken's usual? You can move to adjourn.
We need one more motion
He's sure, I move to adjourn.
to adjourn.
Oh, well, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Were you sleeping? That's
I
usually your
guess.
motion.
Yeah, I didn't, I thought there was one more deal. I was wondering, I thought we went through two of them,
Okay.
so.
Did you talk with?
I'm gonna cut off the.
Yes, please.
What's the right name? cave. I was wondering who's